وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ آمَنُوا وَاتَّقَوْا. This is the last ayah for today. وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ آمَنُوا وَاتَّقَوْا. Had they only had iman, and had they only had taqwa. Now interesting, Allah mentioned iman and taqwa, but the ayah before, how did they lose their iman and taqwa? What did they have that could give them their iman and taqwa? They had the book of Allah in their hands, they threw it behind their backs. Now Allah says, وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ آمَنُوا وَاتَّقَوْا لَمَثُوبَةٌ مِّنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ خَيْرٌ. The reward, the amazing, the incredible, the heavy reward that would have come especially from Allah would have been better. Had they only done that, لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. Had they only known. May Allah make us of those who do know. May Allah make us of those who are not of those, of the unfortunate, who don't value the book of Allah and don't take guidance from it. May Allah give us a correct and sound understanding of His book and firm our faith from its learning. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'an al-Hakim wa nafa'ni wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikr al-Hakim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ولو أنهم آمنوا واتقوا لمثوبة من عند الله خير لو كانوا يعلمون. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه ثم أما بعد. A couple of things I failed to mention that I think are important about the last ayah 103 that we were discussing in our conclusion. وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ آمَنُوا. Had they been the ones, had they only believed. And أَنَّهُمْ آمَنُوا, it's repeating itself. So Allah is pointing specifically to that group of people and saying they had the alternative. They were in the position where they could have had iman. These are the people that were interested in sihr, if you recall. وَاتَّقَوْا. And if they had iman, then the logical progression of having iman is taqwa. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is mentioning here a progress. And this is something that's come up before, how Allah mentions the progression in the life of a believer. So the first thing is iman, and then the progression of that is taqwa. So وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ آمَنُوا وَاتَّقَوْا. But then the peculiar word that is used is لَمَثُوبَةٌ. For sure, lam is lam of tawqid, mathuba. Thawab is the word for reward. Thawab is a common word, many of you know that. The word mathuba is actually an ism maf'ul. And it's the feminine form of the ism maf'ul. What it suggests is there's an adjective understood before, be it aqibah or jannah or whatever that word may be. And what's interesting about the word mathuba, because it's feminine, in Arabic the feminine adjective is used for something that's plural. That's also possible, that a feminine adjective is used to describe that which is plural. Now what the word itself means is that which has been given as a reward. That's mathuba, that which has been given as a reward. But since it's feminine, what is even alluded to in the text is the reward would have been a lot of things. It wouldn't have been one thing. A lot of times our translations, because of the limitation that we have in language, will say the reward from Allah would have been better. لَمَثُوبَةٌ مِّنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ خَيْرٌ. But not capturing the beauty of the word mathuba here. That Allah is saying multitudes of rewards. And such rewards that they can't even be described with any description except that you will be compensated. The ism maf'ul has been given. Not the actual noun that is being described, subhanAllah. So this undescribable reward would have been given to them if they only met two conditions. وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ آمَنُوا وَاتَّقَوْا. If they had to just meet these two conditions. Here what we're learning is a very important lesson. If someone has temptation in front of them of the impermissible, it's being dangled in front of them, because that's what was being done with them. Their final test was that which Allah had forbidden, which Allah had made tantamount to kufr, was dangled in front of them. And they were told before they took it, لا تكفر. Don't do kufr. You have the option not to do it. But they took it anyway. But what we're learning here is if kufr is being dangled in front of you, if the opportunity to do the wrong is dangled in front of you, and you're still able to hold on to iman and to taqwa, the lazim and malzoom together, then the reward is unimaginable. لَمَثُوبَةٌ مِّنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. And then Allah Azza wa Jalla didn't say لَمَثُوبَةٌ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَوْ مِنَ اللَّهِ. He says مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. This is, the grammarian calls this min za'idah. He calls it that it's extra, but from a balaghi point of view, from a language point of view, there's nothing extra in the Qur'an. The unimaginable compensation that is especially from Allah, min indillah. Khayr. And then in the end Allah just gives a simple comparison. Khayr is actually a word used to give comparison between two things. What they got and what Allah had, especially from Him, that can't even be described, is better. And so the final brief comment I want to make about this beautiful, beautiful ayah, لَمَثُوبَةٌ مِّنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ خَيْرٌ, is not kalam sharti. It's not conditional speech. It's actually a jumla ismiya. It's just a statement of fact.
the unimaginable compensation from Allah is better. So even though some translations will suggest, had they only had Iman, the reward from Allah would have been better. Allah didn't say it would have been better. لَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُمْ. It would have been better. No. Khair. It is better. In other words, it's still there. If you're alive and you've made those mistakes, the door is still open. That reality is still there. لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. Had those people only known, had they only taken advantage of that. لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. Now what's amazing is, that's the other riddle here, that the previous ayah, did they know this is kufr? Did they know that anybody who takes it, they will not have anything in the akhirah? Actually, Allah mentions in the ayah before, لَقَدْ عَلِمُوا لَمَنِ اشْتَرَاهُ مَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. They already knew whoever takes it has no portion in the akhirah. Then how come the next ayah says, after perfectly explaining and emphasizing they knew already, the next ayah says, لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. Had they only known. Had they only known. We're learning two different degrees of knowledge. Knowledge in your head is not the same as knowledge in your heart. They're two different things. When somebody tells you, don't do this, it's haram, and you say, yeah, I know, and you do it anyway. Did you know? At some level you did know. But did you really know? Did you realize it in your heart? No, you didn't feel it. You didn't feel the value of it. So the same thing happens to a student. The exam is coming and his friend says, why don't you study? You're running out of time. He says, I know. He says, I know. And then when he sees the exam, he says, if I only knew. The irony in speech? So now Allah says, had they only known, لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. It's a very powerful means of kalimat of hasr here, right? لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ.